All right, so you guys just had a newborn baby, Reese Eleanor Miriam Davidson. How is she doing?
She is doing excellent. Everything's going really well.
Okay, so Yasmina, when you found out that your pregnancy date might fall on a day where we're still in quarantine, how did you feel?
I kind of had a few mixed thoughts. By the time when COVID hit, I was 2 months out. So I was so far in the pregnancy that I was at that point, it was just I had to do whatever it was I had to do.
Ronald, did it make you nervous?
Yeah, because it was my understanding that I wouldn't be there during the pregnancy or the birth of the child. And I kind of wanted to be there for everything. And I didn't know if I'd be admitted at that time or how long I'd be allowed to stay. So I was really nervous.
So Yasmina, walk me through the process. When your water breaks, are you freaking out? What's happening?
Well, my water actually didn't break. Mine were the contractions. And they basically gave us 4 reasons as to why we needed to go into the hospital. And that was your water breaks. You don't feel your baby move for 2 hours. Your contractions are 5 minutes apart or less, or you have really bad bleeding. Other than that, you were not to come in. So I questioned whether I should even go in. I was feeling contractions for at least 2 hours before I even called to ask, because I didn't know if I should be going in. I was really like, do I go in? There's COVID-19. I'm not supposed to go. And what if this is false labor? I kind of prolonged it. He kept asking me like, should we go? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to wait. I'm going to try this instead. I don't know if it's
we
labor.
Should go, like right now. She's like, no, it might not be. I'm like, let's go.
I kind of postponed it because I didn't know if I should go. Because I was like, with everything going on, I don't know if I should be going into the hospital right now. So I was in labor for a good 2.5 hours before I even called and asked him.
Oh my gosh. That seems like such a long time.
It was the middle of the night. It started around midnight, and it wasn't until like 2:30 that I called them.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to the hospital, did the nurses and the doctors seem to have more protective gear on upon your entry or when they were delivering the baby? Did you see anything out of the ordinary from your first experience with Riley?
A little bit. Everybody had on masks and gloves, and even when you came in, they had masks available for people in case you didn't have one. And we had to have our temperature taken anytime we were in the hallways. You had to wear the mask. When I had her and they transported me from the labor and delivery down to like the recovery room, I had to keep her covered the whole time just to make sure we weren't kind of breathing anything in.
And Ronald, I know they told you if you leave, you couldn't come back.
Yeah, they said once you come in, she gets one support person. So if I was to leave for any reason, I couldn't come back in and they wouldn't allow a replacement. So it was one in and one out. That was it. So I had to stay there for like 2 days. I knew I couldn't leave. Whatever I had to do was postponed.
It was like a one and done. If he left, I was on my own.
On the couch in the hospital is just not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
My feet were hanging off the edge. I mean,
he's a big guy though.
Yeah, and I wasn't comfortable. I probably would have packed a sleeping bag had I known. But they were very hospitable. All right, I'm not going to say that they were. They made it as comfortable as they could. It just wasn't. It wasn't home.
Do you think that your family not being able to be there with you kind of affected you in any way? I know having someone there besides just, your one support system kind of makes the room a little happier and there's more things going on that probably distracts you from contractions or when you have to push and things like that. So did it affect you in any other way?
I would definitely say I kind of miss being able to have them there through a lot of that because, again, we have a big supportive family from both sides.
Oh, my goodness.
The first time around, everybody had always come.
I'm offended. I thought I generally bring a lot of joy and excitement into
the room.
I'm not
finished.
Okay, go ahead.
However, when it comes to things like the delivery, I'm definitely more private where I wouldn't want people in the room or near. I would want it to just be us like we did with our first. Because even when we had our first, it was just him and I and the doctors and the nurses in the room. When it comes to that, I'm like, okay, no, I'm a little more private. Like, you guys got to go. You know what else we did, though, with this COVID-19, with the delivery? One, we had FaceTime, so that was amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, my family showed up outside with signs, and they stayed 6 feet apart with masks on and held up signs and flowers.
Oh, that's so cute.
That was the way they were able to try to, be there. That was, the only thing we could do.
So when you had your first child, Riley, how long did you stay in the hospital after giving birth?
At least 2 days. I was there for another 2 days after I gave birth.
And then with Reese, how long?
Relinquishing us within 24 hours. And there were actually 5 of us because they had to have a doctor, an OB/GYN actually had to come and get our discharge papers, and there was 5 of us having to wait to be released.
Were you ready to go at that time, or did you feel like you needed more time in the hospital and they were kind of rushing you out?
No, actually, with it being my second, I was okay with leaving. With my first, I was fine staying.
And she was healthy, so
Yeah.
there were no indicators of anything being wrong. So we didn't feel like we needed to stay or more evaluation time needed to be taken. We're like, she's big, she's healthy, she's happy,
Yeah.
nothing wrong. Let's go.
She passed all of her tests. There was no issues at all.
Yeah,
So
she passed everything.
we weren't too worried about that. We were ready to go.
And Ronald, you are an essential worker being a police officer. So are there any precautions that you plan to put in place now that you have a newborn at home? Or were there any things that you were doing before because Yasmina was pregnant?
Well, I really haven't changed up much. The call volume has decreased drastically. We try and teleservice as many calls as possible at work to limit our exposure to the public and people who might already have COVID-19. So, and I also have a gas mask that I wear, and an N95 mask. So I think that's about it. I don't think I'm changing anything. The precautions I took beforehand, I think they're enough.
So do you think that you're ready to kind of go out in the world with the baby, being that she's a newborn? Are you scared or nervous of any of that?
I was ready. Yeah, I'm ready to get out and go do stuff. You know, we're a traveling family. We like to get out and be adventurous. And for the last couple of months, we haven't been able to do that. My 3-year-old is noticing. She's like, let's go places. I'm like, hey, take it easy. So as soon as things open back up, we're back out there.
Yeah, and with her being how young she is anyways, we would take the same precautionary measures that we would have even if COVID wasn't going on. When our first was born, we were cautious with her. We waited a little over a month before we went anywhere with her. And she was even smaller and somebody I felt that I needed to worry about more with getting sick. So I think we would take the same precautionary measures that we did the first time around, just having a newborn and making sure, we're not exposing her to too much.
How is Riley being a big sister?
She loves it. She does amazing.
She does.
She wants to hold her, kiss her, like she's not jealous of her. If anything, she's more.
We're gonna see how long that lasts.
She's more protective of her. It was the middle of the night and she woke up and was like, my dad's not getting her bottles. Like he's getting it. Like right now he's getting it. She's making sure she's taken care of.
10 seconds. Give me bearings. I'm on the way.
She's been taking care of her very well.
So now that you guys are quarantined, you're quarantined with a child under 3 and a newborn. How is, home life?
We've gotten very creative though with some things.
I just sit back and let it happen.
He lets it happen. He's also picked up science kits for Riley. He let her do a science experiment yesterday that involved foam from a phone case, honey and chocolate syrup.
Oh.
So he kind of lets her get a little creative, and that kind of helps.
I don't want to stifle her imagination.
Because she's very outdoorsy, she's very adventurous and active. So for her to have to be isolated inside has been kind of hard on her.
Do you guys have any advice for any couples or moms going through a pregnancy during COVID-19, and if they're expecting their baby soon? Now that you've gone through this experience, can you give them any advice?
Pack an overnight bag. Like, be prepared. Don't wake up at 2:00 in the morning with crust in your eyes and just kind of mosey onto the hospital like I did.
I had my overnight bag packed for 2 weeks, and I told him to put his stuff in there.
And I did.
I had mine and the baby's ready to go, and I was like, you need to put your stuff in here, and he never did.
I did.
So he didn't have anything. He was not prepared. I was. Be prepared. I would definitely say be prepared. And honestly, try to relax. It's easier said than done. But it's like if you follow the things that we should be doing anyways, like washing our hands, covering our mouths when we cough, things like that, we're all going to be okay. I could say for a first-time mom, I could assume it's already scary enough, or even a first-time dad. But then during COVID-19, I can see where they would be more panicked.
Oh yeah, if you're a first-time parent,
you don't know what to expect at all.
One person in the room and all these restrictions, and I was her support, but I needed my own support there.
Yeah.
For the first one. The second one, not so much. The second go around, you're confident. I'm like, yeah, I've seen this all before.
Because we have the nurses and staff there.
My family there for my support.
Yeah, we have the nurses and staff there, but it's different than having your own family because you always turn to your own family for advice.
Did they take her for any additional tests, or did you see them do anything that didn't happen with your first birth?
They didn't. No, actually, it was kind of the same. Everything they did with the first one, they did with her as well. They took her out for like her hearing screening and things like that. But other than that, they did any other
She
checkups
slept
in the room.
overnight in the room with us and everything.
Mhm. And then we had the same thing with our first.
I mean, there's always an option. They say, you know, after birth, a lot of mothers are tired. They have a nursery where they'll take her and do everything, but we just prefer personally have her in the room with us.
Yeah, they gave
If
us the
she had to
option.
be, changed anything, I'd wake up and do it.
Mhm.
But we did have the option to have them assist.
We just took the advice of the doctors and the medical staff, and everything was fine.
Everything worked out fine.